The Sky This Month with your host, Dave McDonald. A McAuliffe-Shepard Discovery Center production.
This month. This is May 2012, and it's a great month for viewing stuff happening in the heavens. My name's Dave McDonald, Director of Education at the McAuliffe-Shepard Discovery Center in Concord, New Hampshire. We're right off of exit 15, I-93 in Concord. And look for the big Redstone rocket coming up May 5th. Is the 51st anniversary of Alan Shepard's first flight into space. Hard to believe, 51 years have gone by. The 51st anniversary will be Saturday, May 5th. And to commemorate, among other things, this 51st anniversary, we are holding our Aerospace Festival on Friday night, May 4th, as well as all day Saturday, May 5th. So if you're catching this right at the beginning of the month, you don't want to miss Friday night, May 4th. I'll tell you a little more about what we're doing that night. And then all day Saturday, May 5th, from 10 o'clock to 5 o'clock, we have astronaut Rick Searfoss coming. Mad Science is doing presentations. We have helicopter rides. We have Black Hawk helicopter coming to land. We're going to have rocket launches, remote control airplane demonstrations. We have all kinds of partners with very interactive booths from the New Hampshire Air and Space Education Council and Squam Lake Science Center, the Margaret and H.A. Ray Center. The Wildlife Zoo is coming, and they're going to have some live animals there for us to enjoy as well. And the list goes on and on. Check out our website at aerospacefest.com. aerospacefest.com has got all the details in the schedule that you need. Then, as I mentioned, May 4th is the first Friday night in May, and that's part of our Superstellar Friday Night series. And we have Colonel Bob Claypool coming for our featured presentation. We'll have a Tonight Sky show at 7, and then at 8 o'clock, Colonel Bob Claypool is going to be talking about extreme flight, because that's the theme of our Aerospace Festival, extreme flight fighter pilot style, as he is a decorated fighter pilot and has flown the famed Harrier jet, which you may remember is the jet that can land on an aircraft carrier vertically and take off vertically. Very special jet, and he's going to share about his experiences and his inspirations as a fighter pilot. Don't miss Friday night, May 4th. Then our second Friday night of the month, of course, as always, is our Teen Nightclub. And May 11th, the Teen Nightclub topic is going to be Mars Base, building a human base on Mars for humans, by humans. And Bruce McKenzie, who is with the Mars Foundation, is going to be coming to talk about the teens and bringing a lot of paraphernalia to touch, to look at, and to see how this could actually be done, including a 3D fax machine. How can you fax a 3D actual object from one location like Earth to another location like Mars? Well, we're going to have that all checked out at our teen night on May 11th. Then come our next Friday night, which is May 18th, John Gianforte, who's an educator at the McAuliffe-Shepard Discovery Center. John Gianforte is going to be talking about, is anyone out there? Is anyone listening? Is anybody out there? In other words, are there potentially civilizations elsewhere on other planets orbiting other stars? So that will be a fascinating presentation as well on May 18th. And then to conclude our May Superstellar Friday nights on May 25th, we're going to have a family night, and it's going to be all about asteroids, comets, and meteors. And we'll be having our show Impact Earth, among a variety of other activities and interesting demonstrations for the entire family, asteroids, comets, and meteorites for May 5th. And it's important that I mention June 1st because June 1st is the first Friday night in June, and I want to be sure that you can get this on your calendar. We're going to be talking about the transit of Venus and explaining what the transit of Venus is all about. And being the first Friday night of the month, both June 1st and May 4th, the New Hampshire Astronomical Society will be on hand with their telescopes. Our observatory will be open, and hopefully we'll have some nice clear views of the night sky. So let's recap these events that will be at the Discovery Center. On May 4th, again, starting at 7 o'clock, we have our Tonight Sky Show. And then part of our Aerospace Festival keynote for Friday night, Extreme Flight Fighter Pilot Style, with Colonel Bob Claypool is going to share his experiences and inspirations as a fighter pilot. May 11th is our Teen Nightclub. We'll be talking about building an actual base for humans, by humans, on Mars. May 18th, John Gianforti presents Is Anybody Out There? Are there other planets that may be harboring life that may be similar to Earth? How many do we know of? Where are we looking? How are we finding this information out? And that will be a very intriguing presentation. Then finishing the month of May, May 25th, is a family night, Comets, Asteroids, and Meteors. A family night. We'll have our planetarium show. We'll have some live demonstrations, which will be fun and interesting, related to comets and such. Then must mention, June 1st, we'll be talking about the transit of Venus. And please note, special event, mark it down on your calendars, Tuesday, June 5th, at the McAuliffe-Shepard Discovery Center from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. We are going to be watching the transit of Venus live. This is the last opportunity in your lifetime to see and witness the transit of Venus as the planet Venus passes across the face of the sun. And we're going to be talking a lot about that. So I want to just emphasize this to you. It's the last opportunity in your lifetime to catch the transit of Venus. Tuesday night, June 5th, from 5:30 to 8:30 p.m. will be our programming at the McAuliffe-Shepard Discovery Center in Concord. So please don't miss that. So what is the transit of Venus about? Well, actually, behind me, you can see a large sun, and you can see that I've got a couple of little Venuses, and one of them's over my head over this way. And this is where Venus is going to be entering and just touching the edge of the sun. We call that first contact, and that's going to be at about 6:09 p.m. Tuesday, June 5th. And then it will be exiting the sun on my other shoulder over here. Let me get that finger just right there. Unfortunately, this part of the program of the sky is going to happen after sunset. So we get to see a couple hours worth of this once in a lifetime event. Now, it's actually a twice in a lifetime event, because you may or may not remember that we had a transit of Venus in 2004. So you may be thinking, well, 2004 wasn't that long. As a matter of fact, that was 8 years ago. But there's a special cycle to the transit of Venus. And the last one was in June of 2004. 8 years later, we have one in June of 2012. The next one won't be for 105.5 years. So that will be in December. As a matter of fact, it's going to be December 11th, 2117. So mark that down on your calendars if you think, or leave a note for your grandchildren. And then 8 years later will be the next one. So it's an 8-year cycle after that for December 8th, 2125. And then it's going to be 121.5 years, and it's going to come back to a June cycle. And again, there'll be two within 8 years apart, and then a 105-year cycle. So you have a transit, and then you have to wait 8 years, which is where we are this June. And then you have to wait 105.5 years for the next one, and then only 8 years for the next one, and then 121.5 years for the next one after that. So there have only been 7 transits of Venus that have ever been observed by human beings. that were conscious of what was going on and had the instrumentation to view it. So this will be the 8th one that humans in the entire history of the human race have had opportunity to observe, and I don't want you to miss it at the McAuliffe-Shepard Discovery Center on Tuesday night, June 5th, and we're going to start programming at 5:30, so we're all ready for the actual transit to be starting just a little bit after 6 o'clock. Now, I got a couple of videos. I'm going to show you the first part right now, which will give you a little bit of history of what the transit of Venus is all about. So enjoy. It's about a 4-minute video clip, and so enjoy this.
Through the years, Venus has passed quietly between the Earth and the Sun. Then, on a Sunday in 1639, young Jeremiah Horrocks was the first person to witness this transit of Venus with a telescope. And he recorded the planet's silhouette against the Sun. In ensuing centuries, astronomers used this rare alignment of Earth, Venus, and the Sun to answer a leading question of the day. How big is the solar system? In anticipation of this rare event, nations sent out a fleet of explorers across the globe to time to the second how long it takes the disk of Venus to move from one edge of the Sun to the other, which takes over 6 hours. From this early gathering of data, one could calculate the number of miles to the Sun and to all the planets. Enduring the hardships that come with exploration, international expeditions set out in the 18th century, and again in the 19th century. When the last transit of Venus occurred in 2004, a fleet of spacecraft and modern telescopes observed it from a new perspective. And people around the globe watched in awe. The planets are once again aligning for the last transit of Venus in your lifetime. Though nearly as big as the Earth, Venus is dwarfed by the massive Sun. On June 5 or 6, depending on your location, you can witness this elegant dance of the planets. Meanwhile, the Kepler spacecraft is looking outward in the direction of the Swan, near the Summer Triangle. There it detects the telltale dimming of stars, discrete and periodic dips in brightness that reveal the presence of planets orbiting their host stars. Notice, as the planet transits, there is a drop in the amount of light from the star, as depicted in the graph. So far, the Kepler spacecraft has found hundreds of candidate systems. In the past, transits of Venus helped us to determine the size of the solar system. And today, the transit method helps us to discover new planets. One day, we might find a planet similar to the Earth. In June 2012, come, witness the transit of Venus. Enjoy the science and marvel at the solar system in motion.
Well, there you have it, a little intro on what the transit of Venus is all about. Now I want to use this pictorial behind me to explain a little more about some of the details of it. So the circle, you can see here, represents the Sun. And there's a variety of information on this chart that I'll mention. But down the bottom is where the path of the transit was for 2004. And the McAuliffe-Shepard Discovery Center, which was then the Christa McAuliffe Planetarium, we were on duty. We went out to the seacoast because the transit of Venus happened to be in progress as the sun rose. So that was interesting. And unfortunately, right at the seacoast where we were, to watch the sunrise, of course, it was foggy. So we came several miles inland on Route 101 and found a rest area off to the side that it was pretty clear. We got out our telescopes and our special solar viewing glasses. So I want to make sure that you understand, do not look at the sun. It's never safe to look directly at the sun. We are going to be providing on June 5th, that evening, special glasses that you can get and bring home that will allow you to watch the transit of Venus safely. We are going to have telescopes with special filters. Up in our observatory, we have a special filter over our telescope to allow you to see a very enhanced and magnified image of the sun and Venus crossing the sun safely. So we have the equipment at the Discovery Center to enhance your viewing experience of the transit of Venus. And I can't emphasize enough, this is the last chance in your lifetime. So a little bit about the anatomy of the transit, how it happens. As I mentioned, we were on hand. We saw the transit of 2004. I have a couple of pictures that I took, and maybe when we report on this event next month, we'll have some more things to share. But this was the path in 2004 going across the bottom of the sun as we looked at it. And now in 2012, we see Venus is going to be crossing the top part of the sun. Now, there are these Roman numeral numbers. You see a 1 and a 2. Roman numeral 1, Roman numeral 2. Roman numeral 1 is point of first contact. And what that means is the edge of Venus is just touching what we call the limb or the edge of the sun. And that is going to be happening at 6:09 and 29 seconds Eastern Daylight Time. Now, the times given up here are in universal time, and that's one of the reasons why when you see the dates, you see June 5th and June 6th, because it depends where in the world you are as to what side of the international date line you're on, what the universal time, UT time, is as to what the date is. Is it June 5th or June 6th? So it starts for us, and it's neat that we get to see the very beginning of first contact, and then several minutes later, roughly about 8 minutes later, we have the point of second contact, which is when the entirety of the planet Venus is just inside, and the edge of Venus is touching the limb of the sun. So first contact is when Venus first touches the sun. Second contact is when Venus is all the way, just the moment that it is all the way inside the disk of the sun. And then we have a period of 6 hours or so where we have the transit in progress. And then we have the point of third contact where the edge of Venus just touches the limb of the sun. And that's the last moment where Venus is, in its entirety, is enveloped in the disk of the sun. And then contact point 4, fourth contact point, is when the edge of Venus is touched the limb of the sun for the last time. And we won't see that again for 105.5 years. So for us here in New Hampshire, we get to see first contact and second contact, and we're going to be ready. Remember, our event Tuesday night, June 5th, will start at 5:30, so everybody can have time to get familiar with the area, the other programs, because we're not just going to be staring at this for a couple hours. There'll be some other educational programs because it is also Sun-Earth Day, and we'll be talking about other aspects of the sun. So you can enjoy some other exhibits and presentations and then come back as you like to watch the transit of Venus in progress. But we get to see for about 2 hours. And roughly at the 2-hour point, just a matter of fact, the sun is going to set. So we're done watching the transit of Venus at that point in time. Not much more we can do. Well, I also want to just let you know that in this area here, we have the point where we actually don't get to see it at all, which is, too bad for those people. And then around the perimeter, you can see the entire transit. For us, we get to see here in the United States, we get to see the beginning of the transit, but the transit will continue in progress as the sun sets. And the other way around over here in Europe, in North Eastern Africa and such, that they will get to see the end part. So let's see a little bit more about the transit of Venus in part 2. And I think that you'll enjoy this further explanation and information about the transit of Venus.
In the 1870s and 80s, Jesse James robs a bank, 3 stagecoaches, and 3 trains. Barbed wire is patented, which will end the open ranges of the American West. Levi Strauss markets blue jeans with copper rivets, price $13.50 for 12 jeans. Thomas Edison patents the incandescent light bulb. And the public is wild about the coming of the Venus transit. Even a march is composed by John Philip Sousa in honor of the event. Scientists travel to various locations around the globe to witness the transit of Venus. One such mission went to Hawaii on September 9, 1874, nearly a century after Captain Cook had charted Hawaii. A ship from England, HMS Scout, sailed into Honolulu Harbor, carrying an expedition of 7 astronomers. The mission of the expedition was, as Captain Cook's had been in 1769, to observe a rare transit of Venus across the Sun for the purpose of better determining the value of the astronomical unit and, thereby, the absolute scale of the solar system. Scientists had determined that Hawaii was an important place to observe the transit. Its island location offered an unobstructed 360-degree view of the stars, and the position of Hawaii near the equator afforded one of the best views of Venus. The team in Hawaii was well equipped. The astronomical apparatus sent to the islands included 3 transit instruments, more than half a dozen telescopes, clocks, chronometers, compasses, micrometers, and a photoheliograph. The Hawaiians, under their king Kalakaua, welcomed the expedition and provided sites and living quarters to the scientific community. The method of observing the transit was to record the precise times that the edges of the planet touched the edges of the sun, twice as the planet touched the left side of the sun, and twice as the planet touched the right-hand side of the sun. The times between points A and B and points C and D would take about 20 minutes. From these points, as viewed from different positions on Earth, would be derived the distance of Earth to Venus. From this number would be applied the ratios set down by Kepler, and from the results of those ratios would derive the answer to which scientists had long waited: 1 astronomical unit. On December 8, 1874, the rain clouds withdrew, the sun shone, and useful observations were obtained at 2 of the 3 observing stations at Honolulu and Waimea. In England, the transit's aftermath included the laborious efforts to analyze the data and publish the results, an effort that encompassed many years. The American astronomer Simon Newcomb, formerly of the Naval Observatory, combined the data from the transits of 1874 and 1882 and numerous other kinds of measurements. Also, he looked at the orbital drift of the 2 planets, and he examined the shift in each of the observation points from Earth's rotation. From these calculations, he derived a value of 149.59 million kilometers for the distance between the Earth and the Sun. The answer was found. Earth's place within our solar system was confirmed to within 1 million kilometers of the value used today, as found through modern-day satellites and radar. Today we know how vast our galaxy is and how tiny our place is in it. The majestic vision of the stars as seen by new images recorded by the Hubble Space Telescope beckon to the skies. As we see these images, scientists wonder again, how large is the universe? Someday, a scientific mind and a team of dedicated observers will answer that question too.
Well, there you have it. Don't forget, Tuesday night, June 5th, come on down to the McAuliffe-Shepard Discovery Center, 5:30, and just after 6 o'clock, the transit of Venus, the last one in your lifetime, if I said it enough, is going to happen. So I just want to let you know, see a little bit of what's going on here in the night sky. This is May 10th, so we're towards the middle of May here, and what you can see here is Venus. You can tell there's a little glow of sunlight happening here. And as that sun takes its plunge, Venus is also going to be on its way down. And one of the neat things about this transit of Venus is you can watch Venus every night, because at the beginning of the month, Venus doesn't set till almost 11:30, and it's blazing at a minus 4.7 magnitude in the western sky. But you can see it loses almost a degree of height a day as you see Venus get lower and lower. And again, this is about May 10th, midway through May here, as it starts to go into the glare of the sun. And each night you'll see it getting more and more till the point where you kind of lose Venus into the glare of the sun and you really can't see it anymore. So it's a great opportunity to keep an eye on Venus. And also, don't forget, you have in the same sky, you have some of your favorite stars. It's your last views of Betelgeuse, for example, and Procyon, Capella over here, as we lose the winter constellations pretty much for good. So last views of Venus, you don't want to miss that. So don't miss our Sun-Earth Day, June 5th, 2012, our special event. Again, it's the last in your lifetime event to see the transit of Venus, to watch, actually watch the planet Venus move across the face of the sun. Tuesday, June 5th, 5:30 to 8:30 at the McAuliffe-Shepard Discovery Center. You don't want to miss it. And don't forget to keep looking up. We hope to see you at the McAuliffe-Shepard Discovery Center real soon.
A McAuliffe-Shepard Discovery Center production.